Why are we putting bathtubs in trucks? It's kind of weird. Maybe it's convenient. You go to a show and don't have enough time to clean up, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. Well, hello my friends, Kevin here, and thanks for watching this video in our bottom line series where we focus on everything about custom lower trucks. And before we get started, I want to ask you guys to like this video and also subscribe to this channel, as it really helps us out. I also want to thank my buddy Paul, who owns Old Anvil Speed Shop, for letting me shoot this video in his shop. He's got a couple things we can show that go along with this video. And if you guys ever need any custom work on any vehicles, look them up because they've got some talent. All right then, for this video I wanted to talk about my top 10 custom truck terms. Now, if you're a newcomer, you might be scratching your head thinking about some of these terms, like what the hell are we talking about? And it could be a little intimidating to ask somebody what they are. And trust me, I get it. I've definitely been there, had some questions, didn't know where to turn, and just was plain out intimidated by seeing some people. Because I mean, heck, if you go out in the scene, maybe you go to a truck show, you know, thinking you're gonna get into things, you see a bunch of guys that are got some tattoos, black shirts, long dickies, tall black socks. You might think they're in a gang or something, they're gonna hurt you or really make fun of you if you ask them questions. So yeah, that's why I created this list. So you guys can maybe get the lingo down a little bit and, you know, get in tune with what we're talking about on some of these things, and you'll be a little more comfortable. And when you get to that point, I'll tell you, the custom truck community is more like a family, and once you get in, everybody looks after each other, and it's really a warm place. Okay, so the first term on our list is squared wheels, or what we call a square wheel setup. Now, you might be thinking, why are we calling wheels square? Common sense says that wheels are round because that's how they work. So why is this term going around? I don't understand it. And don't be ashamed if that's what you're thinking, because it's a bit confusing. But what we're talking about here is when you have your wheels front to back that are the same widths and could be interchangeable, we call that a squared setup. And this is good for a couple things. It's good for cornering. So if you're driving your vehicle often and want to get some performance and you want to go around corners, it's good for that. It's also good for getting even tire wear. Let's say you have a set of Nitto Invo tires or 420Vs or even Motivos. Those tread designs are non-directional, which means you can change them front to back, side to side, and you're still going to get good traction. So having a setup like that, having a squared setup with those tires, you can rotate those tires often, make sure you get some good longevity out of the tires. So yeah, that's basically what a squared setup is. All right, next up on our list is billet. And what this is talking about is any part that's been cut, custom cut out of a piece of raw metal. It's usually done in what we call a CNC machine, which is basically you go on a computer and make a program the machine to cut a piece out of your raw piece of metal and form it to whatever you like, whatever part you want. This is very cost effective to make parts in smaller batches because it's quite costly to make molds and make parts that way in large numbers. So this has been good for the truck community. These parts can be polished out to a mirror finish, they can be painted, they can be powder coated. A lot of times they're on the interior for like shifters and pedals and things like that. But what truck guys really like are billet wheels. And the reason they like those is that they can custom tailor them to their vehicles. So let's say you have a narrow set of wheels up front, a wider set in the back, and you could space them out to whatever your vehicle needs. And it's pretty easy to do that at that point, to order them and just give them your give a wheel company your specifications and get them set up just for your vehicle. Well, let's talk about airbags. If you're confused on what that means, I can tell you that it's a part that simply replaces your typical spring with something that's adjustable. Airbag is consisted of two end plates, top and bottom, which are your mounting points, and a rubber bellows system in the middle. You add pressurized air to that, and depending on how much air you have in it, it dictates how tall the airbag is. So when you have that set in your vehicle, you can change the height of your vehicle. You can have it at drive height, you can have it all the way down on the ground. So if you ever see a vehicle that's all the way on the ground and wonder how they drive it, it's usually that they have a set of airbags on their vehicle. Now this does sound simple, you know, the way it works and everything, but I can tell you it's rather complicated to have your vehicle set on airbags. So you're going to want to find the right shop to do so if that's what you're wanting to do. But I can tell you, if you have it done right, you have lots of impact on your vehicle. You know, people, you know, you can make heads turn by having a vehicle that's slammed out on the ground and everything, and you know, who doesn't want that? But yeah, if you're still confused about how airbags work, click the link in our description below, as we did a previous video on how air ride works. So yeah, that should answer all your questions. For some guys, having a truck with the frame laid out on the ground with the airbag setup is just not enough. and they want to go more aggressive than that. And the only way to do so is to perform what we call a body drop. So basically, what you would do is you would cut your floor so your frame could go up. You modify the mounts and all that stuff, and that way the body goes down. In hot rod world, we call that channeling. It's basically the same thing, just in the truck world, we call it body drops. But I can tell you, I've ridden in a vehicle that has a floor modified like that, and I can tell you that it gets really cramped really quick. Guys have developed different ways of doing it. What we call a stock floor body drop, where they modify the chassis, put different material in there maybe that fits the tolerances a little bit better. And that way you keep the floor, maybe only modify it a little bit, and that way you have your headroom inside the vehicle. But yeah, that's basically what a body drop is, and it's really aggressive, so if you want to go have some maximum impact, that's the way to go. In the air ride community, the term dragging used to be very popular, as it describes when people have air ride vehicles, lay them out while they're driving on a highway or something like that, and it puts on a spectacular spark show. But don't do this, because number one, it's illegal. And number two, it creates damage. People figured out, even if they have their vehicle set up to do so, that ultimately they will wreck their vehicle some way or another. And I've often heard stories about sparks hitting fuel systems and catching vehicles on fire. And basically at that point, you have a fireball and your vehicle is totaled. So this is what we call a dead trend. So if you want to see some more dead trends, check out the link in our description below. I did a whole video on dead trends. It's pretty interesting if you want to see some more.
Now there is one term that I almost forgot, and it is a big one, and that's force induction. Now this talks about a few different things, including turbochargers and superchargers. And I can tell you they do kind of the same thing, as they basically force more air into your engine. And because it's a big vacuum, you add more fuel to that and you get more power. Superchargers, are also known as blowers, use a power from a serpentine kit belt system, and they activate a compressor to force more air in. A turbocharger uses pressure from your exhaust system to spin a turbine to do the same thing, basically. I can tell you that it's an easy way to add more power. They can get a little complicated. Some guys have a little fun with them and get a little intricate with how they install these systems. And do be aware that you can't put too much power to a stock engine because it could explode. So basically, if you want to get a lot more power out of it, you got to go through the internals and beef them up. So yeah, just be aware of that. And hope that helps you out in figuring out that term a little bit.
Let's talk about roll pans. You might be thinking, pans, aren't those used for cooking in the kitchen? What does that have to do with a vehicle? Well, I don't know where the word came from. I know it was on the hot rod side, is where we get roll pans from. But basically what this is a part that covers up the holes when you remove a bumper for clean looks on your truck. So basically, yeah, you take that bumper off, you're gonna have a big space, and we use what we call a roll pan to fill in that space. It makes everything look good. There are two different variations of them. There are fiberglass ones, which are pretty cheap and pretty lightweight, so some people like those. But a lot of guys actually like ones that are made out of steel, because they could be welded on, they could be body worked in, they could be painted over, and make it look like your bed is seamless, like it was made that way, never had a bumper in the first place. Yeah, and they're very popular for getting smooth looks. You might have heard the term tubs and be confused and saying like, why are we putting bathtubs in trucks? It's kind of weird. Maybe it's convenient. You go to a show and don't have enough time to clean up, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. But and that's not what we're talking about anyways. What we're talking about here is basically custom inner fenders. So if you've modified your vehicle, you've got larger than stock wheels, or if you've slammed your truck, the stock wheel wells are going to be too low and you're going to have to cut them out. And it's important to cover up the tires, because you can fling up a lot of dirt in unwanted areas. So we make what we call tubs. Now you can make them out of sheet metal or use trailer fenders and modify them and get some great results. But what's really popular now is fiberglass. My buddy Mike Losh has a company called Slosh Tubs, where he makes fiberglass inner fenders that basically have some good style to them and everything. They're easy to install with very little modifications, and a great way to cover up your wheels and eliminate some of that dirt. Well, it's a fact that trucks were built and designed to be stout so that they be in the workplace without getting in the way of anything or impeding on your working conditions or anything like that. And so when you drop them down, you make them low. A lot of guys think that the tops look a little out of place. They just look too bulky, and they want to clean things up. So what they'll do is perform what we call a chop top. Basically what you do here is you cut down the pillars, the doors, so that the roof comes down a little bit. But there's a lot involved with this. You got to consider the glass, because cutting glass is a very hard thing to do. Finding somebody to do so is very rare. So what a lot of guys do is they reconfigure the windows so that they can use that stock glass in their chop top. The other thing you got to think about too is supporting the inside of your cab, because basically you're taking that integrity of it away when you cut the top off. So you have to weld in pieces of metal so that the shape is retained during the process. And then once you have it all figured out, you got to weld your top back on. You may have to add in some metal because you might have to extend certain pieces and reconfigure it a bit. So it's very involved in doing so. You have to also think about the interior, figuring that out as well, because that's going to be modified too. So yeah, it's very involved to do it. It's one of the hardest modifications you can do to a truck, I would say, and getting that right. But it will look really good in the end. In some of the old school ways, guys would take like 4 or 5 inches out of their tops. It was a little too aggressive. Nowadays we do probably about 1 inch or 2 just to make it look slick. And but if you have it done correctly, man, your vehicle will look good with a chop top. All right, last on our list is shaving. And just like you would do with your body, you're going to remove some distracting things from your vehicle so it has an overall clean look. It used to be really popular to shave door handles. Not so much anymore because it's kind of stylish to retain them. And plus, having shaved door handles, you have to use poppers, mechanisms in there that are remote controlled and all that stuff. It could create some problems. You could get locked out if your battery dies, so you might want to put in like a cable system just in case of emergency, which maybe somebody can break into your vehicle easy that way. So yeah, doing doors is just, shaving door handles is just not a thing as much anymore. People do shave off antennas, fuel doors, stake bed pockets, tailgate handles, and after you do so, you body work it, you paint over it, and man, you have a slick looking vehicle. So that's why shaving is popular. Well, my friends, that just about does it for this video, and it's time for me to sign off. I hope you liked it, and if you did, feel free to smash that like button. And if you have anything to say, please drop that stuff in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.